don't think people understand what just took place in Turkey. This is number one on my list. Obviously, you know what's on Dave's list, but number one on my list is the rise of the global caliphate. It is being funded, directed by the Illuminati and the Luciferians. We've all talked about, obviously, the World War III letter between Albert Pike and Mazzini. And by the way, whether those guys even wrote it is irrelevant. Someone believes that that's the playbook playing out before us. So in taking over Turkey, and by the way, up to this point now, the current intel is 50,000 people. 50,000 people are now under arrest or basically locked up or being chased for their lives. What's critical about Incirlik Air Force Base is the fact that, you've heard about 90 B-61 nuclear missiles being staged here. That's absolutely peanuts compared to the hydrogen bombs and other things. I put on my website, stevequayle.com, a list of all the nuclear weapons. That's NATO's forward staging ground in their war, or at least in the manipulated war that they want to use against Russia. Vladimir Putin has basically made this statement over and over and over. Stop. Do you guys know what you're doing? And I think, to quote a lady named, a female teacher, Joy Dawson from the YWAM years, one of the best teachers, I believe, in the world, she said, sin is insanity. But insanity always has the end result, the destruction of human beings made in the image and likeness of God. To my knowledge, not one single nuclear warhead has been secured. To my knowledge, and look, my knowledge is limited. I'm not in the National Security Council. I wouldn't be, because I'd be concerned with defending the country, not destroying it. But I want people to put on their, if you will, consideration hats tonight. If you saw the picture, and by the way, you can look at the picture. I don't have it on my website, but you can look at the picture of Erdogan and Obama. You'll see Obama with his eyes closed and Erdogan giving Obama the blessing. There have been stories throughout the world, not on, quote, conspiracy sites. And by the way, when people say, you're just a conspiracy theorist, I say, I'm a conspiracy realist. And you can't help but see 20,000 emails that prove the conspiracy and absolutely show the contempt of the Democratic Party for two groups of people, blacks, contempt, ladies and gentlemen, and Latinos. So the thing that's happening is that the powers that be want Hillary Clinton in office to basically bring about the Islamic Caliphate. Now, if you know who her friend is and her bosom buddy, and obviously Hillary Clinton is her sexual proclivities have been written about by Bill Clinton's former lovers, mistresses, and authors of books talking about it. What you're going to find is you're going to find that even in the Black Lives Matter and this whole communist revolution, let's call it what it is, taking place, you have the militant lesbians taking place. Now, why is that critical? As someone who basically brought to the world of talk radio, and I've seen every distortion of the red list, the blue list, and the green list, and also the term curative process. Curative process is just a fancy word of the United Nations to kill just about everybody on the planet except them. Now, remember, curative process. Ladies and gentlemen, in their mind, everybody other than the globalists, the Illuminati, and those people, we're a virus to be eradicated. So the whole word zombie, and I'm going someplace with this introduction, Doug, was basically a buzzword amongst the highest illuminists to create this perception that anybody other than them will be turned into flesh-eating zombies. So now we get back to the whole premise where I started tonight with Turkey. You've got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that in Pergamos, the throne of Satan that is totally identified by Jesus himself in the book of Revelation is located in physical Turkey, as well as most of the churches that are spoken and identified. Now, you don't have to be too spiritual to figure it out that obviously that is a satanic stronghold. And in the book of Daniel, the prince of Persia withstood the angels Michael and Gabriel as they were coming and to answer Daniel's prayer from the first minute he prayed it, but it took him 21 days. Why is this critical? You're watching one of the principalities, you're watching one of the princes of hell, probably second or third in the line to Satan, at least third, getting ready to bring about the slaughter that they have longed for. You know, Erdogan is the one that made this statement. And by the way, the anagram of his name is, you're going to love this, Doug, you're going to love this, Dave, and you'll really love this, Joe, is dragon or dragon, D-R-A-G-O-N-E. Now, why is that interesting? King Arthur was reputed to be a giant. People who want to live in fairy tale land will not agree to that, but King Arthur's name was Arthur Pendragon, D-R-A-G-O-N-E, son of the dragon. Where Satan sitteth, okay? So what I think is amazing is the total blindness, and the people that are absolutely going into this end-time stage with the most to lose, but the most indifference and the most callousness, self-righteousness, religious spirit are those who basically claim to be standard evangelicals. I can tell everybody in one word what went wrong in the church, in the pulpit, in the whole unfolding of this, and it was basically this. Everything became more important than Jesus. Everything from church programs to fellowship to not offending, political correctness. I remember, Dave, 24 years ago when I started on talk radio, I think that's as close as I can nail it down, as a host, saying that the epitaph of the United States of America was political correctness destroyed the country from within. Well, now we have barbarians within the gates. We have pathological liars. We've got the spirit of lawlessness. There is no rule of law. Every single day I get people saying, they can't do that, or people sending me dumb chain letters to pass on. I tell you, everybody, and this is something I want to address, you should be praying with the same effort you're passing on the chain letters that have been around for years. And the point is that people believe that somehow they're making a difference. Now, look, Jesus said if you don't confess him before men, he won't confess you before your Father which is in heaven. Well, my guess is that just about blows out, and this is a wild guess, 80-90% of mainstream Christians at this time. The people of God are not prepared to go through and to deal with what we're going to, have to deal with. So in that, Turkey is the key. And let me just put a hypothetical. Since I've written only one novel, if I'm going to write the novel, the sum of all fears, it would be called The Multiplication of All Fears Are Here. And the reason being is because just calculating quick and dirty, I don't know Pakistan's total count of nuclear weapons or India's, but if Erdogan should gain control of those without as much as NATO or the United States of America going and securing those with all means necessary, you will have seen the greatest transfer of nuclear weapons, courtesy of the traitors in our government, transferred to someone who will not be afraid to use it. And again, Erdogan's on record saying there is no such thing as peaceful Islam. There is no such thing as traditional Islam. He said Islam is Islam. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not have to hear his words. You must see the slaughter that's taking place. He's pulled out of the Human Rights Convention. And so, Doug, what I said today, and I stand by it, is the fact, I'll turn it right over to Dave, that there are so many issues. I believe Donald Trump is God's prosecuting attorney because it goes right back to the word that God gave me years ago, and you know the flack I got. But before the United States is destroyed by Russia and China, make no bones about it. You can say this, well, I don't believe that was really from the Lord. When I said that, there was no Russia and China in any condition to take on the United States. After Obama got in and his, national destruction crew our entire military has been taken apart. All you have to look at is the weapon systems failures. You have to look at all of the firings of fleet officers and flag officers, and you have to look at the absolute lack of taking the military's oath to defend this nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic, as seriously. So, when Jesus said, let your yeas be yea and your nays be nay, the reason oaths are so frowned upon by God is because that's how the devil got a third of the angels to fall by swearing an oath to do this thing. And it's basically the same thing that's happening. The whole world lies in the evil one. Donald Trump is God's prosecuting attorney. He's laid out the evidence. That is a word of God coming to pass. No one else said it. And why I'm saying that is because I always love it. Yeah, false prophet. Well, I'm not a false prophet. I never said I was a prophet. And the people that continue to make that statement are denying what's happening right before their eyes. So I think it is so late. I think it is not, I believe these are spherical problems. They're not linear problems, meaning it's all happening at once. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, one doesn't just ride out, go back to the stable. The next one rides out, goes back to the stable. Anybody who's raised on Western movies knows the first guy heads out on the horse and the others follow. And now we're at the stage where it's not only the hoofbeats of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, it's now the events that God details, and we're seeing it absolutely all over the world, and it becomes very, very difficult.